Hey, welcome back, everybody. I want to talk about event timeline. And so let's say you're working with alerts here in Azure Defender for IoT, and you want to understand, well, what was happening before these alerts and then what happened after them, so you get a better, sight picture of what's happening. Well, that's where event timeline comes in. So if I go to event timeline, this allows me to see a timeline of activity that the sensor has detected. And so these might be alerts and alerts of management actions and network events and even operations like somebody's trying to sign into the sensor, maybe delete something. But it's basically a chronological view of events that happened. And so this allows me to get a better understanding, better context, and allows me to just really be able to better perform my investigation and my forensic analysis with some sort of an incident here. So when I click on this, I have this filter up here where I can filter on keywords or IP addresses or host names, or I can create an advanced filter and say, hey, only show me devices in here that I specify and exclude these types of devices. So maybe if there's noise coming from certain devices, I could exclude that. Or, let's only include certain device groups, like, hey, show me everything for unauthorized devices or only devices that were maybe sending sending data over the S7 protocol, or devices on a given network. So these filters can be extremely helpful. But what I want to do is go back in time here and choose a date. We're going to choose July 1st because I actually had something happen on July 1st. And here, this is actually going to start at June 30th. And it's going to say, hey, we detected a new device on the network, 111.1. And as you know, the sensor sits on a span port on the switch, and so it's actively monitoring all network traffic. So it even creates a packet capture file, a PCAP file that you can download and load into, say, Wireshark or your favorite tool, and better understand, what was happening from a network perspective at that time. And here we also noticed that another device was plugged in, 111.20. And then we noticed that, hey, these are trying to make some connections out to a programming logic controller to make some sort of a change. So that's interesting. And then the change is it's running a Delta V script here. And, the events just go right on down the road. And I can even click on programming timeline, which I'll do another video on this because this is a good story here, and better understand what was happening with that programming change. And so you get the idea. This just allows me to see a chronological timeline here of events leading up to that incident and even after that incident, so I can better form my hypothesis of what might have happened, but then also use this as a way to go out and start triaging these alerts and start mitigating any findings. And so this is pretty cool. So again, this is the event timeline. It just lays it out in a chronological order. Now, what else is nice about this too is you can export this out to a CSV file. And in fact, I think I still have that open. Here it is. So why would you want to do this? Well, some of my friends out there in the InfoSec community, they like to export this and then import it into, say, Azure Data Explorer so they could do KQL queries against it. I mean, this is my lab here. There's not a whole lot happening. But if you can imagine, this could be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of events. Yeah, you probably want to build a robust KQL query or set of queries to go through and try to find that needle in the haystack. So exporting out to a CSV could be extremely powerful. Or you might want to include it in a report, or it might just want to be evidence that you want to gather. Now, the other cool thing about this is I can create an event. And so maybe something happened elsewhere in the network that was caught by my SIM. Well, I can add that manually here. Or if there is an event on one of these devices, I can manually add that as well. So being able to add that event could be interesting. So, maybe there was a human change that happened. Maybe this firmware update was legit and it happened during a maintenance window. Well, I can come in here and say, hey, I'm just going to add this as maybe notice. Matt performed maintenance on this PLC. That's why he saw the alert, maybe something like that. So again, event timeline can be extremely helpful when you're investigating an incident. So make sure you utilize this. In the next video, we're going to jump into data mining. So make sure you stay tuned. And again, I'm just going through to help you get an understanding of the features. And then in future videos, I'm going to take you into actually triaging and investigating some real-world OT threats. So stay tuned, take care, and we'll see you all in the next video.